Here we are, 9.1c. We are in trigonometry, and we are on example 6, and it says using a property of exponents to solve an equation. So we've been just using properties of exponents, which you should be familiar with from Algebra 2 and college algebra, if you've taken that. And I've got that. Okay, so problem here is I can't make my bases the same because one's a B and one's an 81, and how do I make an 81 a B? So that isn't going to help me much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my B to the 4/3 actually back to a form like that. Okay, so I just changed it back. In fact, I'm going to make it so that it is written this way. It doesn't really matter, they both mean the same thing, but I'm going to write it that way because I am going to want to take the 4th root of both sides to get rid of this 4 right there. Okay, so when I take the 4th root of that, I get a plus or minus 3 equals the cubed root of b. Okay, so what do I do? Alright, well, I'm still trying to get rid of this junk here around this b to get it so it's b only. So if I've got the cubed root of b, the way to get rid of that is to cube this side and to cube this side. And when I cube this side, I get plus or minus 27, and I get a b here. Okay? Then I have to check both of these answers. I have to put this in here to see if it's a true statement, because sometimes it's not. When you're dealing with square roots and your cube or any kind of a root, and you're taking the cube root and cubing it and going back and forth like I did, we can get an extraneous root, one that does not work. But if you try positive 27 in there, that works, and if you take a negative 27 in there, it works. So for example, 81 equals negative 27 to the 4/3. Let's see if that equals 81. Alright, so let's see what we've got here. This means the cubed root of negative 27 to the 4th power. What is the cubed root of negative 27? Negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Positive 9 times negative 3 is negative 27, so that works. And we're going to take that to the 4th power. Anytime you take a number to the 4th or to an even power, you're going to get a positive number, and in this case positive 81. So negative 27 works. And then we do that with positive 27, and we discover that that works as well. So that is example number 6. Okay, so that's it as far as that part of it goes. Now we're going to jump into compound interest. Compound interest deals with principal, the amount you invested, it deals with A, which is the total amount at the end of the day when you take your interest and the amount you put in there and get a number, how much money you actually made. That is the rate. That's going to be in a percent. That's basically your interest. And your M then is how many times you were paid a year. So let's say that they give you something and they say it's compounded quarterly. Well, quarterly means 4, so you're paid 4 times a year. So every 3 months you're given a check for how much money you made. The last part, T, is how much time that amount of money was actually in the bank. So it may say that it's going to be in there for, say, 10 years. And so that would be your T. Okay, so those are all your letters. Now, here is your formula. The amount you're going to make is going to be your principal times 1 plus r over m to the tm power. Okay, so there's our formula that we're going to use. And that formula was developed at the top of page 394. We're not going to do that. But let's look at example 7. We invested $1,000. So that's my P. That's how much money I started with. It's deposited in an account making 4% interest. So that's my rate. Compounded quarterly. Whoops. So 4 times a year, and that's my M. And that's all they give us. A says find the amount in the account after 10 years. So my 10 is my T. That's how much time I left it in there. Okay, so I have P, R, M, T. So what I'm looking at is the amount. So I'm going to use this formula in order to find that. So A equals my principal times 1 plus my interest. Interest is always written as a decimal, not as a percent, over M to the T times M. Okay, so you're going to put that in your calculator and find it. I'm assuming that you can do that. You're going to start out with this, add 1 to it, take it to the 40th power, multiply it by 1,000. In that order, always. It's the whole PEMDAS. Everything in the parentheses first. Okay? And then after that, we do our exponents, and then we multiply. So it's the first 3, the PEM, parentheses, exponents, multiply. And you'll get your answer. And that's how much money then you will have made in the account after 10 years. Well, what if you want to find just how much interest you made? Well, let's say that you made that our A was $1488.86. That's how much money you made during that 10 years. That includes the $1,000 that you put in there. So let's take out the $1,000 you put in there and see how much money you have left. That means any additional money was the interest that you made. Okay? So $1488.86 is how much money you have at the end of 10 years. And $488.86 is how much of that was interest, because the 1,000 you already had. Alright, so let's go with the next video and start on example 8.